Why isn't Jesus and Joshua rendered to be the exact same name, since both of them are coming from the Greek writings and both of them have the same translation of a name into Yehoshua or Yeshua, meaning Joshua? Why is there a difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament? That is a great question, a delicate, and excuse me if I'm saying your name wrong, but great question. And here's the answer. You have to look at who's translating from what to get that answer. So let me break it down for you. You see, when you do go and look at the Old Testament as it is rendered in the Septuagint, which is the Hebrew translated into the Greek, Joshua is rendered as Ius. It is rendered the exact same way as the New Testament writings, which are written in Greek, as Ius. So Joshua, Yehoshua or Yeshua of the Old Testament and Yehoshua or Yeshua of the New Testament, both written in Greek, are both written as Ius in the Septuagint and in the Gospels, which were written in Greek. Now, the difference happens when the when the Vulgate, the Latin Vulgate, comes into play. You see, the Latin Vulgate translated the Old Testament from the Hebrew. The Vulgate translated the New Testament from the Greek. So in the Greek, since it was already Ius, the Latin Vulgate translated the New Testament name of Yeshua or Yehoshua as Isus because it was translating from the Greek Septuagint. But the Vulgate did not use, not the Greek Septuagint, but from the Greek Gospel writings. But when the Vulgate translated the Old Testament, it didn't use the Septuagint as a translation, but only to ensure that the information was as correct as they possibly could make it. They translated Yeshua into Joshua because the Latin can pronounce Joshua, where the Greeks could not pronounce Joshua. So with the Vulgate, it's a translation. With the Septuagint, it's a transliteration. Now, what they should have done was translate the Greek New Testament writings to Joshua from Yeshua. But they didn't. For whatever reason, they didn't. Call it laziness. I have actually no idea why they didn't go ahead and translate it from the Greek writings of the New Testament, from Isus, and they just translated to Isus. Maybe because from the Latin, Isus in Greek is Isus in Latin. And maybe that is the reason why. And they didn't think about the connectivity that they would, or the problem that they would have with the Old Testament, translating it from the Hebrew. Now, in around the 1600s, when the J came into the English language, the Yeshua in the Old Testament became Joshua, but the Isus became Jesus. The names are still the same as far as them being both Yahoshua or Yeshua. They're still the same. Both in English translate to Joshua. But for some reason, the Vulgate kept it as Isus and just changed it to Jesus in English. All English translation Bibles should not say the name Jesus. All English translations of the Bible, if they were to recognize what the actual transliteration that happened, would render the name Joshua. But if you think about it from the layman and the reader's perspective and the traditions of the religion, if the New English translations of the Bible took away the name Jesus, oh, the uproar. Oh, the people who have been calling his name Jesus. All the advertisements and all the marketing material that says Jesus. Jesus is so ingrained in societies for the last few hundred years that it would create such a disruption with the people that the church just ignores it. The Bible writers and translators and readers, they just ignore it because the layperson wouldn't be able to handle it. And that's the main reason why your modern day Bibles will never call him Joshua, which should be the actual translation of his name, and just stick to the transliteration of Yeshua to Isus to Ius to Isus to Jesus. So you're actually right. It should be that. But it would cause such a problem. I actually would love to see it happen, because it would be the funniest thing seeing Christians hold on to the name of Jesus when Jesus is a transliteration and not a translation, and they need to be calling on the name of Joshua instead of calling on the name of Jesus. But that's the answer. It's merely because the Vulgate translated from the Hebrew in the Old Testament and the Greek in the New Testament. But y'all have a great day. And remember always, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.